In one of the most ridiculous pieces of advice I've ever read, the Watchtower suggests that if a woman is being raped, she must treat the rapist with respect and remember that he is, after all, still human, and keep in mind that something's probably happened in his past that was very traumatic that has precipitated his actions right now as he's trying to rape you. My personal view on this is, if someone's trying to rape you, you fight back with everything you have until the threat has subsided enough that you can escape. Do not start to question why he is doing what he is doing. It should not matter if he was abused when he was a child. It shouldn't matter if he's had a particularly rough week. It shouldn't matter if his wife left him 6 months ago and he's got a lot of pent-up frustration. What matters is somebody's trying to penetrate you against your will, and you need to do something to get away. When I commented this and said, this piece of advice that they've given here is ridiculous, somebody decided to reply that I clearly didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was talking about. Because I said, in my professional opinion, this is what you do. And they said, well, what is your profession? Kind of a stupid question. They then pointed out how 70% of all victims know their attacker. I have no idea what she thought that had to do with anything. She pointed out that my advice was shit. I'll explain in a minute why it's not. And she pointed out that de-escalation does work. It does, but I'll explain to what varying degrees. And she said that sometimes people freeze, which is true. We all know of fight, flight. You also get freeze. So what happens is, when we are under immense stress, the body releases a dump of adrenaline. The adrenaline is what we often mistake for fear. So there will be another video coming soon all about fear and the effects it has on the body. But the adrenaline is there essentially. It's a naturally occurring drug that our body makes that makes us faster, stronger, anesthetizes us to pain to a certain extent, and allows us to either fight back ferociously or run away really, really quickly. If the adrenaline dump is overwhelming to us, we freeze, we panic, and we go, everything shuts down, which is the absolute worst case scenario. Now, this person said that suggesting someone should fight back physically won't always work because people freeze. My response to that is, if you're at a point where you have physically frozen, where you physically do not have the capability of running away, what are the chances that your brain is going to work effectively enough that you can handle the complexities of psychology to explain to this person, who is not thinking rationally, by the way, who isn't using logic at this point, to explain to this person, what you're doing is wrong, why don't you just tell me what is wrong with you rather than you trying to rape me? Even if their brain was working at that point, if your body is frozen, you're going to stumble over your words. You're not going to be able to talk eloquently enough to get your point across. The other side of this, of course, is if the attacker is feeling these effects, which they probably might be, one of the effects of an adrenaline dump is that your hearing goes. It sounds like you're listening to things if you're underwater. Like if you've ever been in a swimming pool and you hear people walking along the side, you can sort of hear just the bum, bum, bum. Everything kind of is muffled, is how you hear things. So if that guy's got that effect, no matter what you're saying, it's not going to work. If the guy is raping you and he's on drugs, and in his mind he doesn't know what he's doing, if in his mind he's on Mars, he might not be able to hear you anyway. If you're in a foreign country and the guy doesn't speak the language you do, how are you going to de-escalate things? Because he won't understand what you're saying. Whether he understands your language or not, if you crack him several times in the side of the head and push him over and stamp on his ankle and run away, he gets the message. De-escalation will only work if you can both understand what's being said. De-escalation will only work up to a certain point. De-escalation will not work if someone's already pinned you by the throat up against the wall and they're repeatedly punching you in the face. At that point, talking is done. If you learn the three principles of defense, where once they touch it the third time, you know there's going to be a physical altercation. Learn to strike first. Again, there'll be another video coming just on the fence, but de-escalation itself isn't enough. I get the feeling this person has seen a lot of self-defense videos where someone goes, "Stop!" and the person goes, "Oh, yep, sorry." It doesn't happen in real life. If somebody is going to rape you and they have the intent to rape you, telling them no isn't going to stop them. Because the rapist knows that it's wrong to rape. Right? No rape has ever been stopped because somebody said, "No, stop that. None of that. Put it away." No one goes, "Oh, God, it's a bloody good job you said something. I was about to... Would my face have been red?" No, it doesn't happen. The rapist knows it's wrong. That's why they either drug their victim, or that's why they lure their victim to where there's no witnesses. That's why they don't go around bragging about it. That's why you don't see any social media updates with, "Oh, fantastic night, raped a whole bunch of people." They know it's wrong, they keep it secret. When people do go to the police and the authorities, a lot of rapists will say, "Oh yeah, we had sex, but it was consensual." That's why it's so difficult to actually get a conviction from rape, because it's difficult to prove that the sex was not consensual. So I think you would be better off having a small set of physical tools to fight the guy off, to get away so it never actually happens, rather than you having to go through the whole trauma of reliving it, because you have to relive it every single day when you tell the authorities and it goes to court. You're then going to have a room full of strangers bringing up the details of it. The psychological toll it will take on you, on anybody, is immense, and obviously different people handle it in different ways. You would be better off not having to go through any of that, of knowing that as soon as someone comes to attack you, you dehumanize them. They don't deserve sympathy. They don't deserve to be treated like a human being. This person is trying to forcefully penetrate you against your will. What part of that makes you think that they deserve to still be treated as a human being? Because they don't. And as such, take them off the planet. I'm not saying you have to kill them. I don't advocate killing people. But I do advocate stopping them. And the only way you're going to stop them from that point is a physical response. Just saying, "No, please don't do this," isn't going to be enough. So those are just some of the things that popped up with it, where the thing as well of 70% of attackers know 70% of attackers know their victim. And what exactly is the point they're getting across there? Because the only way that comes into effect is it makes it even harder to stop someone from a point of view of de-escalation. Because if you're out and about, at a bar, a night out, whatever, and someone comes over to you, puts their arm around your shoulders and starts rubbing your arm, you're going to go, "Oh, get off me, mate. I don't know who you are." If it's someone you know and they start doing that, you go, "Oh," which basically means you're at the bottom of the slope before you even realise you're on it. So again, de-escalation in that sense won't work, because you don't realise what's going on, because your guard is lowered, which means there's even more of a need for a set of physical responses. If it's someone you don't know, and you've got your wits about you, you can move away from the situation. You can, "That guy keeps following us. What's he up to? Why is that guy so hell bent on buying me a drink?" Alert security, alert the bouncers, alert the bar staff, whatever. If it's someone you know, they're more likely to worm their way in, meaning that de-escalation isn't going to cross your mind because you don't understand what's going on. You don't think of that person as doing that type of thing. So the first you know about it is when they've pinned you up against the wall. If you know about it at all. If they know you, you're going to have your guard lowered so they can slip stuff into your drink. But whether I've only just met you, or whether I've known you for decades, if you attempt to rape me, I am going to hit your head so hard I'm going to attempt to take it off your shoulders. When I strike you, my intent will be to decapitate you, if that is what you are trying to do to me. So why knowing somebody should stop you from physically responding and cracking them is beyond me. If her point was 77% of victims know they're attackers, so they will be aware that this person has got trauma in their past. Well, if you already know they've got some traumatic thing in their past that might trigger them to do an attack, be on your guard around them. Don't be left alone with them. Um, Years ago, I knew a group of religious girls, and they would have a social meeting in their house every Sunday. And there was one guy who came to them who was a recovering heroin addict, who was very open that he was schizophrenic. And he was a big guy, and during one of their Sunday gatherings, he was sat next to me, and he just starts rocking back and forth. And when I started talking to him later, he goes, "I don't remember doing any of that. That was when I went off into my own little world." So I told some of the girls, don't ever be in the house alone with this guy, because if he goes off on one, you're all going to get injured. But there was a possibility of them being hurt. So if you know somebody has something that might cause them to do something such as an attack or a rape, don't be in a position where you're alone with them. If they have that trauma and you think that trauma will lead to them doing those acts, they should understand. You don't even have to be upfront with them and say, "I can't be left alone just in case you rape me," but just take steps to be cautious around them. A lot of what is being taught out there with rape defence pussyfoots around the subject matter, and because we're using soft language about things, we're not saying what we actually mean. A lot of false information is being given. Because a lot of false information is being given, a lot of people are getting hurt. So why this woman would be so against people who are about to be raped fighting back physically, I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue whatsoever what her problem was with saying fight back with all you can. Maybe she's an advocate of the no-touch knockout, which doesn't exist. Maybe she's an advocate of living in a Disney film. I don't know. What I will say is, if someone's trying to physically harm you, the only true response that will work is your own physical response. And your physical response has to be better than theirs. And your physical response has to have more intent, because they're fighting to rape you. There's a good possibility you might be fighting for your life.